Camping is a popular vacation for millions of Canadians every year, and with a country as beautiful as Canada, we have a whole lot of really great campgrounds all across this country. And most of those campgrounds are small businesses. They're owned and operated by families, and they usually have just a handful of employees that assist with their operations, and usually just during the summer months. In 2016, the Liberal government ended the review of active versus passive business income rules that we had put in place during our government that would have allowed businesses like campgrounds to have access and continue to have that access to the small business tax rate. And many of these campgrounds have received huge new tax bills. These are tax bills that are many times larger than they were before. Essentially what is happening is the Canada Revenue Agency is now telling campgrounds that they are too small to be a small business. How does that make any sense? Too small to be a small business? I can't even understand how that can possibly be. And what that's based on is they're saying that because they don't have 5 full-time, year-round employees, that they're too small to be a small business. Well, we all know that in a country like Canada, that our campgrounds generally aren't open year-round. They're a summer business. Really recently, I had some contact from a campground owner in northern Alberta, and in the past, that campground had been eligible for the small business tax deduction, and that's obviously something that most regular private campgrounds in our country have access to. But just this year, this owner received a reassessment notice from the Canada Revenue Agency for the past 3 years, asking him to pay back over $30,000. And so in doing this, the CRA is trying to portray this campground as an investment business. This campground, without a doubt, should qualify for the small business tax rate. A business being considered too small shouldn't be a reason to exclude anyone from the small business tax rate. The CRA changed that interpretation without any notification and simply started to declare that campgrounds would no longer qualify. And they started to reassess campgrounds going back, as in this case, sometimes a few years. This has amounted to tens of thousands of dollars in new tax bills for many of these campgrounds, and it's put some of them right out of business. Now in Canada, our small business tax rate is at 10%. And when campgrounds are treated like investment income instead, the tax rate skyrockets to nearly 39%. So I've asked the government many times to explain, why do they continue to unfairly target our campground owners? And the Canada Revenue Agency Minister has provided absolutely no reasoning and just repeated these same talking points over and over and over again. Take a look for yourself.
Mr. Speaker, Minister, about the CRA's new tax grab on small businesses like campgrounds and self-storages. However, she's just going to stand up again and once again completely insult small businesses by saying they need to start paying their fair share. And then she'll falsely claim that the Liberal government hasn't changed the tax rules. Is she really that incompetent, or has she finally checked her facts, realized that she's totally wrong, and changed her talking points?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our government is firmly committed to ensuring every Canadian pays their fair share of taxes. We continue to support small and medium-sized businesses from coast to coast to coast because we recognize that they are the backbone of our economy, Mr. Speaker. Our commitment to tax fairness is at the core of our mandate, and our government will continue to support small and medium-sized businesses.
Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to ensuring that all Canadians pay their fair share of taxes. Concerning the tax rate for small and medium-sized businesses, I would like to note that we have not changed the tax rules, Mr. Speaker. They are the same rules that existed and which continue to apply. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Banff Airdrie.
Mr. Speaker, for my colleague across the way who hasn't understood, I will repeat my answer. Our government continues to support small and medium-sized businesses across the country, and we recognize the crucial role that they play in our economy. And I would like to highlight that we have not changed the rules, Mr. Speaker. They continue to apply, and we continue to apply the provisions concerning income sources.
Now, our small businesses shouldn't be penalized for being too small. They're an important part of our tourism industry. It's actually a billion-dollar sector that creates hundreds of thousands of jobs all across this great country. And it's time for the Liberal government to recognize that and to stop treating these campgrounds unfairly. It's time they respect small business owners, and it's time they reverse this unfair tax hike on campground owners.